I would often refer to three main reasons why education is important for peace building. The first is that education provides benefits for affected populations. Education, when it is maintained during conflict, can provide protection for children and often protection within communities. Secondly, how education is provided can affect the trust that affected populations have in governments. If education is provided in biased or unequal ways, then very often that undermines people's confidence in the education authorities. And thirdly, education itself is a tool for transformation and change. Education can help affected populations develop the skills, knowledge and attitudes that are important for livelihoods and for transformation from conflict into more peaceful environments. The 4 Rs provides a useful framework, we think, for examining how education is provided in situations of conflict. We would see the 4 Rs framework as a tool, if you like, to assist those who are interested in analysing education provision, in planning education provision, or actually monitoring and evaluating education provision that's already in place. The first R refers to redistribution, in other words, the extent to which inequalities in education are being addressed in terms of educational inputs, in terms of resources, educational processes, or indeed educational outcomes such as qualifications. Very often there are inequities exaggerated through conflict in terms of how education is provided to some groups and not others, or provided in some parts of a country and not in other parts. The second R refers to recognition and concerns the extent to which education provision, particularly language of instruction, curriculum, employment of teachers, how all these things take into account diversity, both within the workforce and within the education provision itself. There are many cases where curriculum content, for example, would ignore diversity within the population or would be biased towards one section of the population rather than another. The third R refers to representation and refers to the extent to which there's inclusion of the diversity of voices within the society at all levels, at policy making level, at administrative level, but also at school level through schools, councils, engagement of parents, etc. To what extent do people who have a voice in the sort of education provision that takes place, and the extent to which some voices are excluded, which may in itself become a form of grievance. The fourth R is, in my experience, the one which is most often neglected. It concerns reconciliation. It concerns looking at, in post-conflict situations, how do you explain to subsequent generations the violent conflict which has taken place within their own society? What is the best way of doing that in terms of including the multiple perspectives there are in the conflict and why it happened? To what extent are there reparations, for example, for the victims of violence through education? Many countries have included Truth and Reconciliation Commissions, which recommend that there should be education bursaries for those who have missed out on education, or that excluded groups should be more included in the education provision in the future. 4 main priorities are identified. First is protection and provision of education in safe and secure learning environments for children. Secondly is thinking about issues to do with inequalities in education and how they might be addressed to avoid creating grievances. Thirdly, the extent to which education can contribute to social cohesion within a society, to improve relations between groups that are in conflict. And lastly, the extent to which education also has a role in contributing to reconciliation and helping future generations understand conflict which is taking place within their own societies.